taken care of, yeah?
Good morning and welcome to Seller Sessions. This is your host, Isabella Hamilton, and I have with me today Mr. James Van Elswyk. I got to meet a few months ago at Geek Out. Welcome to my show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, my pleasure. You know, ever since that Austin Geek Out, I just been talking about your beautiful event. I think people were already tired of hearing about it. So I said it's only natural that I have you on so you can tell everybody why I love this Geek Out so much. So tell us a little bit about you before we go into the juicy stuff.
It's so funny. They're tired of hearing you talk about it, so that you invite me to talk about it. So you're setting me up.
It's like perfect, right? It has to come to a full conclusion. What is this Geek Out?
Totally. All right. My background, I would say we'll start it with marketing. My background in marketing started probably 10 years ago, doing advertisements with direct mail, radio, television, and then Google. 2013, I started with Facebook ads, right when there were ads in the mobile news feed. Like before I started, it was still just the right-hand side. And then I did all sorts of advertising things throughout them. I have an agency that's located in Israel. I have a creative and development team that's in Ukraine. We have a copywriting team in the United States. So we basically do everything related to selling things online outside of Amazon. All paid channels for direct to consumer and different e-commerce things. And that's kind of been my passion. My real passion has been the Geek Out, my education business. I'll explain that. We started a education business, event business community in 2017. I felt that I wasn't happy with the learning materials that were available. And I wanted to create kind of a community of people to be mutually obsessed with selling things on the internet, like as obsessed as I was and my partner Nick was. So we created something called Geek Out with the idea that our wives, husbands, families, they didn't want to hear about clicks and all this kind of stuff. Conversions, purchases, AOV, LTV, like they just don't want to hear about this.
Right.
So I said, let's create a place where we can get together with all people that are interested in these things so we can like hang out, have fun, learn, talk, share, network. And that's what created the Geek Out.
I love that. It's like, let's find a place where we can geek out about things that our families don't care about. I mean, we feel the same exact way to Amazon. We actually just got back from a week long in Vegas, Prosper, and it was amazing. It was seeing all your friends, and again, you can geek out with those people because nobody else on the outside can understand what the hell you're talking about. So I love that. And you said 2017, is that when you started it?
Yeah, 2017. I thought of it in 2016. We did our first event in 2017. 7 people. It's actually kind of a funny story if I can. We tried to do our first event in Vegas. So I decided, okay, I'm going to rent a mansion. We're going to do it like all high end. And I got totally scammed on Airbnb. It was not a mansion at all. The pool was so dirty, you couldn't even swim in it. It was a shit show. I don't know. I have no other way to describe it. Our camera guy, our video guy that we hired, he brought a dog with. So I have a dog barking during a live stream. It was so bad that one of the guests who actually lived in Vegas said, look, man, let's just do this at my house. I don't mind. Like, you know, he actually like felt bad for us, but the content and the education was so good that people didn't care at all. And we just were like, okay, well, this is it. We're doing the right thing here. We had the right people. We had the right speakers. We enjoyed it. So we knew we were like onto the right track. We've never had one that bad ever since. So we're getting better.
So you had 7 guests. And how many speakers did you have at that first one?
It's so crazy, but we had 6 speakers for 7 guests. We tried so hard. Like we wanted everybody to like it so much that we just dumped information. Like it was 16 hours of hardcore education for 7 people is just too much. But we were just so scared to not deliver. And we were just so excited to be doing it.
I love that. It just shows that you guys are so dedicated that even for a small audience, you still gave it your best. So you didn't feel like discouraged after, like, oh, we only had 7 people, the Airbnb sucked, we're never doing this again.
No, this is life. We kept doing the event business. Look, almost every year we did it, we lost money, pretty much.
Right.
Like it is what it is. But I'm a big believer in process over product. Like if you just keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, eventually it works. But if you're just trying to hit a goal too quickly, you'll get discouraged, you'll stop. But it was more like, no, we're just going to keep doing this. We'll keep chipping away. And then it really started to grow on its own. So the event business is tough. It's like I try to tell people, it's like you invite people over to a party at your house. You're like worried, will anybody show up?
Yeah.
But when you do an event, you have that same feeling of like, will anybody show up? Plus you're like negative a bunch of money until like the last week, it's like, so it's super stressful. But it's always been worth it, especially now that we have so many cool people.
And you just had one here in San Diego. Was this your biggest one yet?
We actually did one in Barcelona a few years ago that we did more of like a traditional stage style, big screens, all this. But this was the first one that we did that was our normal style, where it's heavy on the community networking, getting people together, and high level of engagement with that many people. So yeah, we had 200 people at this event, and when you were there in Austin, I think we had like 85. And we haven't changed anything as far as advertising. It's all just word of mouth, people sharing, and people coming back. We have some people that have come to all 3 events this year.
Wow.
So, and they're coming to the rest of them, so we actually started to get it, like people are like following it like a road show.
And listen, I am one of those people. It's just it gets so good, and every time I come, I mean, absolutely, the sessions are amazing, your speakers are top notch, but even beyond that, I think for me just feels really good to be there with like-minded people. I get to meet all these new people that are just like super intelligent, and everybody has their own business, and it doesn't have to be Amazon. I know you have some really badass Amazon sellers as well, but just like connecting with like super brilliant people, to me that's key to everything, and create those connections. Like I already had like 3 people invite me, can you come to Kiev, unfortunately I can, but I can't wait for you guys to come back. And I know you have some events here kind of close to me as well in my area, but yeah, I think it's one of the best ones. Do you advertise all the time, like, because I know you said you get a lot of word of mouth, like what is it that how do you bring so many good quality people, I should say?
Well, we vet them, we make sure that they're the right fit for the brand. I mean, the one thing that we've always tried to do is maintain the level of people there to be kind of at our level as far as experience or understanding of how things work in advertising. So we've always vetted them to make sure it's like a right fit, so that we never kind of dilute the quality of people. We also try to invite a lot of people that we know, like our thought leaders or influential people in the space. We advertise a lot, yes, but I think what part of it is what we do for advertising is we believe so much in our content that our ads are usually snippets of the prior event. So I think people watch it and see like, wow, that is really intense, detailed, motivating, high level information. So it kind of sets the stage of what they expect they're going to get in their mind when they get there. So I think the ads actually attract people because they can see what the quality content is like.
Yeah, I can attest to this. This is definitely one of the highest quality, high level minded people that I've been to. I go to a lot of masterminds. Another one that I compared this to is Dan Flashman's. I do the 100 million mastermind, and those are very high level people. But I feel like this one, it doesn't cost 100 grand. It costs a lot less.
Totally.
And the concentration of people here are just unbelievable. I mean, I made so many good friends, just friends. I mean, to me, that's so important because like you said, geeking out with people that know what the hell you're talking about, it's very satisfying.
Totally. And also we've always had, 2 hashtags with every event we've done: no ego and no douchebags. And we've just stuck by that, where it's like, look, if you're someone that's just super arrogant about how great you are, we don't want you there. And if you're just a rude, negative person, we don't want you there. Like, it's something that we never did to make money, and we still don't do it as something to create profit for us. So it's like, if we're going to go and hang out, we want to hang out with people that we would enjoy hanging out with. And I think what's really interesting is that the personality type of the people there, like so many people there are founders. They have like such a great entrepreneurial spirit. You know, they're all like the people that challenge the norm. They try it, they go for it, they take risks, they hustle, they build. So the room, it's not just that it's great high level advertisers, but it's also the fact that it's like hardcore dedicated entrepreneurs. So that kind of entrepreneurial spirit is everywhere.
I love that. It's amazing. It's amazing being in a room with all these smart people. I'll tell you that. And also, you make it very fun. Like I haven't been to one that's like not even a little bit boring. You always have some type of surprises happening at all times. And I love that there's a lot of room in between sessions where we can actually network. Because a lot of the masterminds that I go to, they pack in all this knowledge, which is great, but it doesn't really give you enough time to get to know your new friends, get to know all the people. Like I remember at the here in San Diego, I met this kid. You probably know who I'm talking about. He's like 19. He's already killing it, like making millions. Totally. And I got to talk to him between sessions, and he's like, he was debating if he should stay in college or not. It's like, these are the kind of people that you meet at Geek Out. And I'm always so blown away. And every time it's like, I meet new people, and the quality remains, which is very, very impressive.
That's everything to us. And look, we realize that we feel like, and this is from surveying, talking to people, etc. Like the content is probably 30% of the reason that people come, but it's like 70% to network and make deals and find new partners. And like, I'd love to know the amount of partnerships and JVs that have come out of these events, because I think that's really what people get the most out of these connections. The content is important, it's a centerpiece. But we try to be like aware that we need to create opportunities for people to connect, because that's what they really want to do, especially post-COVID.
Right. Absolutely. So what are some of the events? What do you have left for the rest of the year?
So we have, the next one is coming up in Kiev, Ukraine, and it's selling like shockingly how much this is selling. And it's all people from Europe almost. Like we have United States also, but it's like a whole new audience that we knew was there. We've already done events in Tel Aviv and Barcelona, so we knew there's an audience there. But basically, Kiev is part education, part experience. We're doing it like kind of super high end, where it's like everyone gets a concierge, everyone gets a driver. We've got access to like kind of like a private VIP border control. And then once everybody enters, we do a one-day trip to Chernobyl. Then we do tanks and shooting Soviet weapons another day. Then an intensive training, and then kind of like the normal geek out. So again, we're trying to give a place for people to like hang out and make those connections, but also learn. And then after that, we have, so that's August 25 through 29. Then we go to New York City, which will be September 5 through 9, and will also be a very crazy event. It's actually September 9 through 12, I think. I should know these things better. And then after that, we come to Los Angeles to close it down the first week of October.
Okay. And then next year, you don't have any plans for next year as of yet? I mean, you've covered so many cities this year.
We're excited. We got a bunch of new stuff. So next year, we're going to do 5 of the regular Geek Outs you've been coming to. We're going to do 2 that are going to be more Amazon focused. So the idea is expert level Amazon training, and then intro to direct to consumer, and then vice versa. Like, so if you have Amazon people that are really high level, but they want to get started on paid ads like Facebook and stuff, we'll have that. And then we're going to switch it, because there's a lot of people in our world that are like great at D2C and paid ads that have no presence on Amazon. So we're going to do kind of an event that flip-flops them, lets everybody network, but they get to get their high level training and their intro training. That'll be next year. We're also going to create a dinner series where we will do in different cities. We're going to do dinners just for networking. So we've got a bunch of stuff planned.
Yeah, I love that you're starting to do more Amazon things. I mean, we talked about this many times. Amazon is so crucial, and it captures so many eyes and so much audience. So it would be a shame for people who are already killing it outside of Amazon not to get some of those eyes as well from Amazon. I think it's very important. I mean, some people get a little scared, when it comes to Amazon, because Amazon can be definitely very tough, and it is. But it's doable. It's doable, and it can become another very successful channel for everyone who comes to geek out. I mean, you have some really, really, really successful DTC people there, and I want everybody to come to Amazon.
Yeah. Even if you don't even count like aggregators that were there, you're still talking in that room. It was probably like 2.5 billion a year in e-commerce revenue, right? Like, and what's amazing is there were multiple brands there that are not on Amazon at all, that are like 50 to 100 mil a year. And it's like, dude,
How?
You're leaving so much money. Like, one of the speakers we had in Miami that I respect a ton, it's the owner of Nugenics and Instaflex, and now they bought Nutrisystems. And he talked about being omni-channel, and he's like, look, it's more than even just Facebook and Amazon. It's retail, it's direct mail, it's television, it's radio, it's in the magazines on airplanes. It's, like, that's omni-channel. Like, you need to be everywhere eventually to be stable. And I think, like, there's a shared feeling from the people I speak to that are Amazon heavy or Facebook heavy, which is you're dependent on this like monolithic monopoly, and it's just dangerous, right? Like, you need to try to be spread out for your business to be safe. So I think that'll be like a real big push for us in 2022.
I love that. I think it's very, very important, and it's probably a good way to bring everyone together. And because I know even from the last times that I participated, I saw a little bit of an increase in Amazon sellers coming to Geek Out. And I think it's very important for them to see that there's, like you said, all these other channels that they could make money on. Nobody wants to just be stuck with one, because Amazon can be unpredictable, and so can all the other channels. But if you're spread out nicely, evenly amongst a bunch of them, then you cannot but succeed. So I like that. I really like that. So what else are you working on, James? I know you do quite a few things.
Yeah, I do a lot of things. I mean, outside of my normal stuff, my brands, agency stuff, I had also started in 2019, and it got canceled in 2020. But I had started a kind of a charity school, like to teach people digital skills, like the skill of media buying. Media buying being like campaign management, right? Like, so we found people that had been overlooked by society and had difficult situations. Some people had just gotten out of prison. Some people were dreamers. Their parents had been deported to Mexico. They were still in the United States. So people with different types of disabilities. And we taught them how to media buy and then place them in jobs. And what's amazing is they're now making salaries of like $75K a year. And they were usually working in like a factory or a cashier job or something, and we took them from zero. So I realized a while ago, like, if you have the ability to manage ad campaigns and make someone profits, nobody cares anything about your background or your life circumstance. It's like you're either green or red. Like, you're either making me money or you're losing me money. And I decided to kind of apply that concept to training people for these skills. And then this year, 2022, we're going to be rolling out 4 schools to kind of do this again.
You said it was canceled in 2020. Was it because of COVID?
Because of COVID. What I found is, all of the education that's online to teach people how to do advertising and stuff like this, it's all based towards like entrepreneurial people that are like self-starters. Like, hey, I want to make a lot of money. I'm going to watch YouTube videos. I'm going to buy courses. I'm going to do all this type of stuff. When teaching people that are coming from more difficult background, they need a lot more of the encouragement to get started. They need learning more soft skills, how to have meetings, how to communicate, how to interrelate, and kind of build up some self-trust. And I feel like it's a lot easier in person for us to help everybody get up to speed on that level. So I decided in 2020 not to do it digitally and stay with the in-person format. It's all inside of a classroom, so it's a real different style of teaching people. but it's really, really effective when you can sit people down in a classroom and be like, here's how you do it, as opposed to just watching courses and stuff.
Is this in LA?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What gave you this idea? Like, what made you decide to do this? This is very charitable of you.
I had some different difficulties in my life that made it difficult for me to get a job, and I just thought it was messed up. And then I am a big believer in like opportunities, like where I can make money and help someone at the same time. It's almost all the time that you can figure out a way to connect making money and helping somebody. You just need to like look a little harder. And there's like a huge demand for media buyers or campaign managers. And there's all these people that are like underserved because they don't have a college degree. They don't have a lot of money, they had a tough background. But the thing about campaign managers, media buyers, whatever you want to call it, is you're investing a lot into putting knowledge in their head. And you want someone that's going to be loyal to you, that you're not going to just teach them and they're going to go run away off somewhere. And I realized that when you give people opportunities, they stay with you for a lot longer. They work a lot harder. So I thought like, okay, let me find the people that need opportunities and kind of wave the magic wand by putting the information in their head, and then provide jobs and employees for people after the school. So it was kind of just like everything kind of came together. I've been thinking about it for about 7 or 8 years. And it was kind of like always rolling around in my head. And then in 2018, I really got serious, started planning it, and then was finally able to launch it in 2019. I actually made a documentary of it as well. I should share it with you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's a well done, high-end documentary, because I wanted to basically have kind of proof of what we did, so it would help me scale it.
I love that. How do you find your students?
Probation officers, halfway houses, guidance counselors in high school, and then just regular job postings. You know, we're just trying to find people that are super smart, super motivated, because it has to work for the people that employ them as well, right? Like I can't just take a random person and say, hey, let me help you. So we like really go far and wide, finding people that really, really need the opportunity, but also deserve it. Like you have some high school kids, for example, that were top in their class, but they couldn't go to college because they couldn't afford it. Or let's say they had like a sick family member or whatever. Those are the kind of diamonds that we're looking for. You know, the people that are just super blessed intellectually and with work ethic, but just had something that kind of hampered their forward progress.
How long is the school? How long?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. And do you feel like these people are very conscientious? They come to class. They are they appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea. Like, listen, we have people come to geek outs or masterminds or private trainings, and they pay tons of money to sit there and learn, but they're like off in another room having a coffee or smoking a cigarette or whatever, right? Which is fine. Like I get it 100%. Yeah. You know what I mean? These students get there early and they sit in their seats and they take notes, and you talk to them and it's like they're trying to just pull the words out of your mouth to be able to get it into their head. You cannot even compare, because the return on investment for them is so much greater, right? Like their brains are empty. Right. So you're adding so much value into their head and you're giving them such an opportunity. I mean, really, like some of the students that were hired out of the last school, they've turned on to be like trainers for their companies where they fly to other offices and teach people. Like it just absolutely worked. Like they needed that opportunity. And they just felt, a lot of them expressed this as well. They really had already started to believe, even at this young age, that they weren't going to ever be able to have the life that they wanted. You know, they just were like, wow, I didn't know. I'd already kind of accepted it, that this was my life. And now understanding I could do this now and create, you know, a bunch of money for myself was pretty surprising for a lot of them.
That's so sweet. Do you teach them yourself or you hire some teachers?
So basically what I do is I do some of the teaching myself, and then I invite my friends who are like really world class in all sorts of things, like Nick, for example, Jordan, a lot of our geek out teachers. And I say, hey, like, can you come teach for 3 days, 5 days? And like I'll bring in the top people. I'll bring in a top Google person, a top Facebook person, a top Snapchat person, a top YouTube person, and we just teach them like everything into their brains. All like, it's fun because it's like top guys teaching beginners. But what I find is really interesting is that these guys remember like when they were a beginner, you know, like they remember how hard it was for them to get started. So they're like really excited to get other people in the game.
Yeah. And especially when the feedback is so great and these people, you can tell they literally, their life depends on this.
Totally. Absolutely.
So satisfying I think for both and for you as well. I mean, I think this is probably one of the greatest things I've ever heard, being able to give back. You know, we are also blessed and fortunate to do what we do, where we don't have to worry about tomorrow, and to be able to share that back with the community. I think it's amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, like I think and I talk about this a lot lately. I just realized this idea a little bit ago, but it's like I think so many of the problems that we have as a society is because like we as humans, like our species, our purpose in life was to survive, right? Like, and 100 years ago or whenever, survival was like kind of iffy. There were diseases, there were tigers, there's like all this stuff, but that was our purpose. We woke up, it was like our purpose was don't die. And then I think like life has gotten so good that we're going to live, like everybody can basically assume that we're going to get to 70, 80, barring something bad. So all of a sudden, we as humans, we don't have like a purpose like we used to. And I think like it's very important for us to find a new purpose so we can find like happiness and something to get us out of bed in the morning, whatever that purpose is. And I just figured like, okay, well, if I find a purpose that also helps other people and it gives me a purpose, then it's like absolutely win-win, you know?
And do you feel like your life has changed for the better since you started?
Absolutely. Like, listen, service and helping others just feels great. Like, even chemically, like dopamine and everything else. Like when you help somebody else, you get a definite internal reward. So yeah, I mean, I think almost every day that I left the school, I was like on a high, like I had taken drugs, you know, like I felt amazing and motivated and because we don't think about it much anymore. Like we don't think about like being good, being kind, helping others. We're all just like conversions, purposes, scale, revenue, like just it's all of our like achievements are either Instagram related or cash related or business related. So when you can find something that gives you like a pump and a high that's not related to those things, it's like super cool. It's a very different feeling. And when you help people and you see like someone, like when someone understood something, like we taught something to them and they would ask a question that showed they really learned it, it got us super fired up.
Oh my God. And what's the hiring rate from all your students? Like once they go through the 8 weeks training?
We placed all of them and they all kept their job except for one. Out of the ones that we graduated, some of them we didn't graduate, like halfway through, we said like, it's not working. Or they felt like it wasn't working. Like they respected what we were doing, but they were like, hey, I've been in prison for 10 years. I've never used a computer. I can't catch up. Like this skill set is missing. And like, that was totally cool. We helped kind of place them in another role with this company that was not computer related. But even though it is like a charitable thing, we're still really making sure they're great because they have to work for the people that are hiring them, you know?
Of course. And do you just direct them to one company or you have connections with different companies that hire these people?
For the first one, we placed them all with the same company. For these new schools, we'll be placing some with some companies that have already like basically bought in, you know, beforehand. And then we will have students that will be working on placing.
I love that. And you said you were going to open like 4 or 5 schools. And
Yes.
are you saying that because they're different locations?
Yes. We're going to do the different locations. It'll be LA, Miami, New York, and probably Ohio.
Are you going to like fly to all of them or now you're going to start to have to hire like some manpower?
No, like, I'm definitely now hiring teachers that will be the trainers and kind of stick around and keep doing it. That'll be in the first class. Some of the people that I'm inviting to learn are there to become teachers for the rest of the schools. Like I can't go to all of them. Like, yeah, I'll probably go to the beginning. I can't even go to all the geek outs anymore. Like I got to work. You know what I mean? Like I gotta sit in my cockpit at the computer here and like get stuff done.
There would be no Geek Out without you, James. So
No,
I don't think that's possible.
That's what Nick is there for. You know what I'm saying? Like that's his job. He loves people.
Yeah.
People love him. But yeah, I'm not like a go to groups type of person, but I'm like forced to do it. But it's starting to be like between the schools and geek outs, I'm gonna have to start to settle down a little bit.
But you're definitely not missing Kiev because that one sounds so much fun.
I leave for Kiev in 2 days, so I'm definitely not. I'm going like way early to get things set up and work with my team there. But I'm definitely not missing Kiev, and I'm also going to go to New York and LA this year. But next year we'll see if I go to all of them.
Yeah, the one in Kiev sounds very interactive.
Oh, it's going to be crazy, really. I can assure you of this. I put a lot of time into it. I spent tons of time in Kiev, and I know that I can make sure like guests have a once in a lifetime experience on a lot of different levels. And also the people that I see now that are going are really, really best in class. I hate to say it, but I think actually the quality of the audience will end up being better even than the last one. And what's interesting is it's going to be so many different brands from around the world, like some from Asia, some from the United States, some from Europe. So it'll be a totally, totally different crowd.
How many do you expect for Kiev?
We're going to cap it at 75, just because all of the different experience stuff we're doing. I think that if it gets too big, we won't be able to make sure it goes off well for everybody. We don't want so many people that they're shooting guns at each other. You know what I mean? If we're going to take them to a gun range, they're going to drive tanks. We don't want anybody to get driven over or anything like this.
It's so funny. You're like, based on data, if we have more than 75, the chances of them shooting each other slightly increases. So we're not going.
It's too much. And it's not like Ukraine has like amazing safety protocols in place. So I want to be like a little cautious myself to make sure everything is okay.
Oh my God, this is great. No, I love Geek Outs, as you know, and Nick. I'm a big fan. So, you know, in the name of everyone, we thank you for putting on such an amazing event. And for those listening, you should definitely check it out. I'll continue talking about it because again, it's something that I really, really love. And I look forward to being at the one in New York. I'll definitely be there, and LA, you're like right here next to me. So it's perfect. But I want to ask you some more questions about you, James. What do you do with like your time? I mean, you seem so caught into so many different unique, I don't know, events and opportunities. When do you have time for yourself, and what do you do with that time? Are you like a big reader? Like what is James outside these events?
I have like a pretty interesting system that I'm constantly working on. Like I feel like I'm the epicenter of all my businesses. So the more that I improve myself, then exponentially it improves all the businesses because I have like a lot of different stuff. So I think step one is like my morning process. Like Sunday night, I write down my entire to-do list for the week, and then I update it with the things I didn't get done the week before. And then I wake up in the morning, I go through, I write down 10 things I'm appreciative for, the things that I want in the future, my manifestations, the 3 things that I did well the day before, and the 3 things that I have to get done that day. And I try to cap myself at the same time every day. Like I try to not work past a certain time every day. I have like a sports psychologist that helps me with performance. And a lot of it is like self-discipline and restraint. And usually self-discipline is like, oh, I need to get myself to go to the gym. But I think for a lot of us that are like A-type people, self-constraint is getting us to stop working. So that's like my real goal is not to work too much every day. So I try to stop every day at a certain time so that I still have free time at night. I do like to read a lot. I love to play chess. I like to exercise. And then my big reset on my personal time is on Sundays. Every Sunday, I go for a infrared sauna and then cold plunge. So I kind of go back and forth from very hot to very cold, and it's by myself for 1 hour. So I'm alone with my brain for an hour. And then when that's done, I go to a flotation tank for an hour. Like it's a sensory deprivation tank, and I float for an hour. So it's like 2 hours of uninterrupted time. So it's like a big massage for my brain, central nervous system. And then I don't work anymore. So like Monday morning, like today, I wake up and I'm like ready to go. I try to treat every Monday I hope that on every Monday I achieve that feeling. Like, you know, when you go on vacation, you didn't work and like, you're like stoked to get back to work.
Right.
I try to create that for every Monday morning. You know, that's really kind of my process, you know.
And you do that because of your Sunday ritual where you do
Exactly.
that every single Sunday? The flotation tank? I've never done that. Everybody keeps recommending it.
Game changer. It's a
Really?
very interesting thing, right? Because it has a lot of different effects. And I think some people don't even think about them. But like, for example, like our central nervous system is always activated. We're either seeing things, we're touching things. Like even when we sleep, our central nervous system is still working, right? Because your body's like touching the bed, it's touching the sheet. So it's still active. And we have so much sensory input every day. It overwhelms us. It burns us out. So when you go in a float tank, there's 1,000 pounds of salt in the water. So you float. The water is the same temperature as your body. The air is the same temperature as your body. So you're weightless in the dark with earplugs in and you're floating. So all of a sudden your body has no sensory input and it can finally like really relax. Like you get true relaxation because it doesn't need to do anything. So that's like one of the benefits on that end. And then on the mental side, it's an hour without interruptions or anything coming in, which is like so valuable today in like our digital world, where all of a sudden when you're like still for 1 hour without any sensory input, it's like a huge like relaxation, like a real relaxation, better than like a full night's sleep. So when you come out of it, you're like really, really refreshed. You know, it's very, very powerful.
Does it ever get scary?
Look, I think in the first one, I wouldn't say it's like scary because you can obviously just get out, right? Like there's nothing, you can just say, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to leave. But I think the first one, you have to get like used to it, right? You have to like be comfortable with being still. But then once you get going, like I've gone in them for like 5 hours before, you know what I mean? Like I don't do that now. I just go for an hour. But once you get used to it, you're like looking forward to it. You just drop in, you go right into the zone. The first one, you got to get used to it. I mean, you're floating in a tank, you know, it's like, it's not normal feeling. But after like 30 minutes, you kind of get used to it and then you're in the zone. But I've never been like scared. You know what I mean?
Got it. And do you ever go into like a meditation mode or that is it?
Yeah, like I have 2 ways of doing it. So I meditate every day. I'm big into meditation, but I have like 2 ways of doing it. So I try to go into it where I either want to meditate and kind of work on that portion of calming the mind, or I want to enter trying to solve a problem or dreaming about something. Because you have an hour alone with your brain. Sometimes you want to harness it to think up cool stuff. You know what I mean? You want to say like I'll go in there with an idea or a problem that I'll look at right before I go in. And then be like, all right, let's think about this for an hour. And like sometimes really good ideas come out of it. You know what I mean? So it can be either way. I could try to either get my mind to be more calm, or I'll try to get it to be more active.
I love that. Oh, so good. I mean, meditation, I'm a big fan as well. I think it's so good. We're surrounded by so many stimuli every single day, and dropping into ourselves, it's so important, and most people dismiss it. And you know, I can't say I do it every day. I am aware that I should be doing more every day, but when I do it, I'm just like, oh my God, why don't I do this every day? This feels so good. It's like healing yourself from the inside, because you know, just like every other entrepreneur, it's just like go 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 go. It's like we never really stop. And you know, most people will think, oh, that's useless, that I can have a better use of my time, but really this is such a crucial part of our lives, and more people should do it. Let's see what Jacob is saying. I love the sensory deprivation personal pause, similar to daily swim alone underwater in the river. Deep thinking. Thank you, Jacob, for that. Yeah, so I'll have to tell you, when I do my first flotation tank, I haven't been able to do that yet, but I definitely want to. How do you feel like your life has changed ever since you started doing like gratitude journal and manifestation? Was that a big
huge? I try to tell people this all the time. I think most people don't buy into it. Look, the manifestation thing, I'm not going to get into it. I believe that we manifest our future, but people talk about that. They hear about this all the time. Everybody talks about it, but I'm saying like I've seen it in detail what I have written down and what I have pictured has come true. Like it is what it is. And I think I do it every day. Like I definitely write down my manifestations, but I rehearse life in my head constantly. Like, let's say I have an interview this morning and I'm in the shower getting ready to talk to you. Like I'm running through it in my head before the Geek Out event, before my speech. I'm giving that speech in my head. And like, I think on a small level, there's like rehearsing. And then on a bigger level, you know, I write what I want in 3 years, 2 years, 6 months. And I do it every day because I believe like our brain has like a subconscious algorithm that's like way smarter than our manual thinking. So it's like, okay, well, get your brain thinking about what you want. It'll find how to get there. That's all I will say about that, even though that was actually quite a bit. Appreciation, I think, is even more interesting because, look, there's two ways to look at life. And especially when we're trying to look into the future, right? There's so much kind of, like life is perception, obviously. So we can look at things of what we have or of we don't have. And especially when we're trying to make plans for the future with business or whatever, we don't know what the future is going to be. It's always 50-50. Like it could go bad, it could go good. Like we really don't know. And we shouldn't try to get like attached to an outcome, but like why, when we're trying to do something in the future, should we choose the negative view versus the positive view? Like either choose both, don't choose either, or choose positive is my thought process. And if you sit down and write what you're appreciative for every day and you force yourself to really look for it, it just starts your day in the habit of seeing the positive side instead of the negative side. So like, it's just helpful to have like a happier life that whenever something happens, if you default to the positive, which is half of, you know, it's equal half chance of why it happened is positive, just default to that all day. You just feel better. You know, like if something happens, if you find the bright side of it, you'll feel better than if you find the negative side of it. And there's both. So why always go to the negative side? So I think when you write down what you're appreciative for, like I find if I'm writing down what I'm appreciative for and I get outside of the basic stuff, I'm thankful for my friends, I'm thankful for my family. That's like kind of what happens when I started doing it. After that kind of gets burned out or it's already built in, we know that we're appreciative of those things. And you start to look for like little things like, I'm excited for the weather today. You know, I appreciate that it's sunny today. I appreciate like little things. There's no way I'll have a bad day if I start my day being appreciative for little things. It's impossible.
This is so good. I could talk about this all day. When did you start realizing that this is true for you? Like, did you just wake up one day, or did you come across somebody that was using these tools?
Look, I've always been into meditation, Eastern religion and stuff for like a really long time, off and on. Even when I was in high school, I was into this stuff. Like I knew it was there. Like I knew there was some power there. And I just kept getting away from it. And it didn't become like very relevant to my life. And I kind of would like, I read Think and Go Rich and The Secret and all this. And I was kind of like, it's bullshit. I don't really believe in this kind of, like, I just didn't have enough pitch for me. You know, I just didn't have enough like solid, it wasn't solid enough for me. I thought it was kind of hippy dippy. When I started working with my coach, he is a sports psychologist, and he was a sports psychologist for professional baseball teams, full-time, Olympic athletes, and then CEOs, right? And he's a coach. He's not like a bullshit guy. He's not like a hippy-dippy guy, right? He's doing these things for tangible results, not for some like religious, spiritual thing. Right. So when he told me about it, and I was like, okay, well, this is like a very different type of person telling me that I should do this for optimization and performance, not for spirituality. So I was like, okay, I'll start doing it, you know? And then when I got really into it, I was like, wow, this is powerful.
Absolutely. I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, Think and Grow Rich is definitely one of my favorite books. I keep buying it and I keep giving it away. Actually, it's sitting right here. I have the cool version, you know, the gold one. Yes. It just sits here, and sometimes I'll just go through it and like just pick up whatever. I definitely love books, but manifestation has been really real in my life. I mean, I don't know, we didn't get to talk too much about my story, but I came from Romania, you know, very humble beginnings, and I know I created my life. Like I, just like you said, like I I visualized it first before doing anything. I said, this is where I'm going. This is what I want to do. And I would see it in my eyes. And once I saw it in my mind's eye, then it came true. So for me, it's like I have all this data based on previous experiences. Like, of course, in the beginning, it seems almost like coincidence. Like, oh, I really wanted this and then I got it. I don't know. I don't know. I can't really believe this. It's a coincidence. But then you keep doing it. And at one point, you're like, holy shit, this is not a coincidence. You're actually creating everything that you're putting into your mind. And it's such a powerful tool. Like, if only more people would understand that it doesn't take that much work to get everything you want in life.
Totally. Listen, I also the same. I don't understand like why more people don't do it. And I mean, we know so little about our brains and the power of our brains, but we believe so much in like the strength of the Amazon algorithm or the Facebook algorithm to give us conversions, to show our ads to the right people and make these decisions for us. And I just think like our brain has like the world's strongest algorithm. And if you give it the conversion event that you want, it will get you there, but you have to tell it what you want. You can't just kind of like be a victim of life and not utilize it. And well, whatever life gives me is what I'll take. It's not really going to work like that. I think you need to like put it in place, figure out what you want, and let your brain and your work and your decisions take you there. I mean, like wherever we get in life is just an accumulation of decisions that we make. Like right. I decide to do this, and then I decide to do this, and that ends up where we are. Like, I think our brain is smart enough to make amazing decisions without us trying to manually figure it out. So not utilizing this power of being able to put a goal in there and helping us get there just seems kind of like a waste.
And you know what, James, actually people still do it. They do manifest a bad life for themselves. Like, what they don't understand is like, you can either manifest a good one or a bad one. So if you're just like kind of accepting these, I always get fired, why does my life suck, it's like all these things, you're just reiterating what you want more of. Because I mean, we would need like 7 more hours to talk about this, but the gist of it is, whether you believe is true or not, you are right. So if you think that you cannot manifest a good life for yourself, you are right, because that is what you're attracting in your life. And it's just as simple as that. And you said, why don't more people realize it? Well, I think is because everything around us tell us how hard it is to have a good life. You have to work very hard. You have to know this. You have to do all of this. Nobody tells you that it's as simple as switching your mindset, because that would be too easy and nobody would believe it. Just like you didn't believe it in the beginning until somebody that you respected with authority came in and say, hey, this is not Mama Jumbo. I actually do this in my life, and you can follow it too. So hopefully those who are listening now, they will listen to you because they hear me talk about this crazy things all the time. But maybe they'll take it to heart and actually experience it. I mean, why not? What do you have to lose? Just try it, right?
It takes like 5 minutes. Like, I write down 10 things that I'm appreciative for and 5 things that I am going to have. I mean, I write down the things I'm going to have. I picture them for like, 2 minutes. And then other times, like when I go into the float or I go into the sauna and I have a few minutes, I'll like imagine myself doing these things that I want. And that's it. Like, it's not like a super hard thing. And also too, to be clear, you still got to back it up with hard work, right? Like, you can't just dream and it's going to happen. You still got to make that effort. But I can tell you, like, really firsthand, I manifested some things for this year that there was no way for these things to be achieved just through my basic work or what I was doing. And they happened. I still put work in to achieve them, but they came out of nowhere. There's just no way that this year, a lot of these things were a coincidence. Like, I'm sold now. I'm so sold now that I've tripled or quadrupled the size of what I'm manifesting. Because now I'm like, okay, well, if I can make this shit happen, why am I picking such small things? Like, why waste it? You know what I mean? Like, if the genie comes out of the bottle and you get 3 wishes, don't wish for shitty wishes,
Yes, I love that. Oh my God, this is so good because, one of the things that I ask people that I just meet or, friends, I'm like, okay, I want you to picture like waking up January 1st, 2022. Tell me, what does your bank account say? And they'll give me like the lowest number possible. I'm like, this is a wish. You understand? Like, you are literally making a wish right now, because obviously I can't offer you this, but I want to put them in that mindset. And you'll be surprised how little that number is. And I'm like, you just caught the goldfish. Why would you ever wish for something so small? It's a wish. So it's
Totally.
exactly the same thing. And it's like we are conditioned to not really trust ourselves. And I'm glad you said that people need to take action, because the book The Secret, that you said you read it, I read it too. For most people it doesn't work, because they're just, when they try to practice it, they think of all these things, but they don't take any action towards that. If you were to put both and actually attach feelings to it, just like you said, like picture it, like you're picturing your talk before you go on stage, and you can see the people smiling, the people clapping, you visualizing all of this, and then next thing you know, exactly the same thing happens. So you don't have to try for like, okay, I want $1 billion next month, but try with small little things and realize that this actually works, and then set a goal in mind, see it evolving in front of your face, and then keep making bigger and bigger goals. I absolutely love
Yes.
that. I had no idea you're one of my people. I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, hardcore. And I'm a realist, right? I'm a data person.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm like, I would have never expected you to say that. I love this.
No. Like, listen, like the geek out in and of itself, right? Like
Right.
all of us as entrepreneurs, whatever, we have some type of an idea that we're manifesting. I think that this product will sell well on Amazon. I'm going to start selling it. Like that's creating, that's manifesting.
Absolutely.
Like if we know it or not, when I thought up the geek out and I said, okay, I want to have this event business, and I started to like imagine what it would be like. And then a few years later, there's like this big old event business. That was just a manifestation, that I had a lot of role in playing. I didn't just trust the universe. I made it happen. But like whatever, I pictured something and it became real. And I think a lot of us do it all the time. I think the biggest problem people have is, even if they manifest and stuff, is people get caught up in, procrastination because they don't trust themselves. And I feel like a lot of smart people in our world, their main tool of procrastination is research. Like I find so many people that will study a topic to death instead of just starting. Like doing it wrong. Like there's nothing wrong with starting and doing it wrong. And then you have other people that will just become absolute mental experts in something, but never take the first bite. They'll study every Amazon course, they'll watch every YouTube thing, but they'll never work on launching their first product, So I think that's another thing that's important, is just doing it and making a mistake and being ready for it. Like expecting, like I'm going to do the wrong thing, but I'm going to do something. I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, because it's all about stacking small wins. It's not about just going from 0% to 100%. It's like 1%, add another 1%, add another. And then you start to get this momentum when you have little wins, and all of a sudden it adds up, and then you start to be able to accomplish some big things.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm so glad we got to talk about this a little bit. I didn't know where this was going to unfold to, but it's great to hear that. And I know Geek Out will only get better and better, even though it's kind of impossible to imagine, because I feel like it's it's so great right now. And thank you for sharing the story about the school. And if there's any way the listeners can help. I don't know if you take donations or anything like that for the school, but if you want to share some websites with us, or where people can reach you or find out more about Geek Out and your school.
I'm going to get you the documentary that you can send out to all your audience, and then I will get you opportunities. The biggest thing for us is we're always looking for teachers. We're always looking for teachers, and we're always looking for people to hire students. So I'm sure you have some amazing Amazon people out there that would love to take some time to teach some noobs how to make money on Amazon.
Absolutely. I think that's really great. So for Geek Out, it's just geekout.com, right?
Yeah. Geek Out EDU, I think.
Oh, yes. Yes,
so
you're right. Geekout.edu. You're right. I should know this. Yes, I think that is correct.
Listen, you should know it. I should know it.
Oh, no.
Geekoutevents.io.
Oh, we were both wrong.
Yes.
We're gonna get in trouble with Nick. No, thank you so much for today. Are you on LinkedIn at all? If people want to reach out.
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. The best place to reach me that I will answer, and I answer in batches, is on Facebook. James Van Elswyk. I look at it like once a week. So if you send me a message, it might take me a couple days to get back, but I always get back. So
Awesome. Oh, James, thank you so much for giving us
thank you as
your
well.
time today, and have an amazing time in Kiev. And I will see you guys in Brooklyn, right?
Yes, yes. Brooklyn in September. Thank you so much for having me on today.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye, James.
All right.